Good afternoon, everyone. I am here to talk to you today about something that none of us really likes to talk about, but we do care about, and that is aging. And um, what would you think if you could actually be ageless? That would be pretty impossible, probably, right? But Vivix really does do an amazing job in helping us to come as close as we can to that. So if you if before we talk about aging, I wanted to ask, or actually just call you to think about what you would do if you could live younger longer, not just longer, but younger longer. So would it be taking up a fun new hobby you always had wanted to, uh, being more active, traveling more, yeah, just something that you're feeling called to do. As we age, we have a lot of experiences. We can help the next generation sometimes with those experiences, but sometimes we're not as able to do that because of aging. So basically, what is stopping us from doing some of those things ends up being aging. And it's the same for all of us because we all age. And the thing that we probably have not focused on is that it starts at the cellular level. And so that's what we want to focus on today and really take a look at how cellular aging happens. So that is what we're going to learn about today. So basically, our bodies are exposed to 500 trillion attacks on our cells every minute. So our cells endure 500 trillion attacks every minute. And these attacks, they come from all kinds of sources. They can come from pollution, pesticides, any kind of contaminants, heavy metals, that kind of thing, um, poor air, uh, our food choices, and even just digesting food, even if it's healthy food, causes free radicals, breathing, mounting immune response. All these things, our bodies create molecules as they deal with the different things that they have to deal with, the cells, and these molecules that our cells are making are called free radicals. Our bodies are designed to take care of these free radicals. But when there's 500 trillion, that could start to get out of balance, like more than what the body is able to keep up with on its own. And so that's what we want to look at, is what we can do to try to help the body do its best in keeping up with dealing with those attacks. Because if we look at this cell over here, it has the light inside of it. So it's basically a young cell and there's a lot of energy in it. But as we are exposed to the attacks and our bodies make molecules, the free radicals, that is ends up, if it gets out of balance, that will end up leading to oxidative stress and inflammation. That oxidative stress and inflammation will then in turn damage our cells. And so you see the cell over here on the other side, that is a cell that shows signs of aging. The energy is not as much, it's not as vibrant and full of energy, and there has been damage done to the actual cells. And the structures in the cells that we really want to try to protect are our DNA and our mitochondria. Mitochondria are little battery packs that give it the energy, and the DNA is basically our blueprint. It's what helps those cells do what they were made to do. So if we have damage to the DNA, that can cause some real problems. And there will be a chain reaction over time. So, that's where we really want to try to address this um, as much as we can. So how do we slow down cellular aging? That is what we really want to try to look at today. And like we said, it starts in your cells, because if you can slow the aging in your cells, that will in turn slow the aging in your entire body. And so Vivix is the most powerful thing that is available to help your body and your body cells with reducing the effects from the free radicals, keeping the balance in check, and so that the free radicals don't get so numerous that you end up with that inflammation, the oxidative stress and inflammation. So there are key ingredients in Vivix that are shown to really help in this way. And so we're going to go through and look at some of these things that are in Vivix. Okay, so the main thing is that the polyphenols, so those are plant nutrients, phytonutrients that are in Vivix, they help neutralize the free radicals. So those molecules, the Vivix is able to help neutralize them so that they are not causing harm, and basically keep that balance, keep them from building up. And once they're neutralized, then they aren't able to get over here to the creating the oxidative stress and the intense inflammatory response. So it's a protective thing as well as helping with the inflammation. And basically, the Vivix reduces the number of attackers, and that's the source that we want to try to help reduce those number of attackers, so we don't have 500 trillion. So that will help keep our cells healthy. And the potent polyphenols in Vivix protect those critical components in our cells, the DNA that we were talking about, the mitochondria, and it also helps reduce the formation of the damaging AGE protein. So protecting our DNA, boosting our cellular energy, and reducing the formation of damaging AGE proteins. The AGE proteins, they start to build up if you have the DNA and the inflammation and the damage to the cells. Then you get these AGE proteins, which further damage the cells. It's like, think of it like rust or plaque on something. So it starts to affect us. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about some studies that were done to help with these areas. So in laboratory studies, they have shown that Vivix key ingredients significantly reduce the DNA damage. And so they basically put some Vivix, cells were treated with Vivix in laboratory studies, and there was a remarkable 2/3 less DNA damage to the cells, the DNA in the cells. And so 2/3 less DNA damage, that is really significant in helping to reduce that damage to the DNA. And then as far as the boosting of the energy, if you look on the website and you go to the Vivix product page, there is a lot of information on there. You can click and see like more about the science, and it'll show more graphs than I even have in these slides. In fact, there is graphics showing what the mitochondria. So the mitochondria are colored green on that. And so the more green that was showing up was showing an increase in mitochondria, the density of the mitochondria. So, the Vivix key ingredients protected the mitochondria and helped boost their energy production. So in lab studies, the cells that were treated with Vivix had a 97% increase in mitochondrial density. So that means a 97% increase is a huge increase. And so if you have more mitochondria, more dense mitochondria, that means that you are going to be having more energy in your cells. In fact, that's what they saw. And then the third area here is the AGE proteins I was talking about. And there was also a study that was done that showed that the Vivix ingredients helped reduce the formation of these damaging AGE proteins that affect the cell function. So there really ends up being, in all of this, 2 layers of cellular protection that's coming from the Vivix. There's external from protecting it from outside the cell, so it ends up being like a shield, like basically shielding the cell. All these attacks are coming at it, and it's like a shield that's shielding your cells from these attacks. And the oxidative stress and inflammation that comes from an overabundance of those attacks. And then on the inside, this dotted line represents the protection that you get on the inside of your cells to help you protect against the internal factors that further damage your cells. So the AGE proteins, the damage to your DNA and also the mitochondria, helping them to be more energetic and more dense. And so this is an amazing study that was done. So this is showing Vivix versus a high-fat, high-carb meal. So basically a McDonald's breakfast. And so there was a clinical study that was done, and Vivix reduced the markers of the normal inflammation that would come from a high-fat, high-carb meal. And so we will take a look at that study. There were healthy people that were given a high-fat, high-carb meal to eat, a McDonald's breakfast. 10 minutes before they ate that breakfast, they were given a placebo. So they basically were not taking Vivix. And then they tested the inflammation response after eating that meal. So if we go back here to this slide, you can see they didn't take any Vivix. 10 minutes later, after the placebo, they ate the meal, and then at 1 hour they tested the markers for inflammation. At 3 hours they tested the markers for inflammation. At 5 hours they tested the markers for inflammation. And so inflammation just kept going up without having the Vivix. That's just the effects of eating that kind of a meal and what it does to the inflammation response in your body. So it shows that this is definitely something that is not easy on the body. And then a few days later, they took the same people, and I guess it was actually a week later, and they gave them 1 serving of Vivix, waited 10 minutes, they ate the same high-fat, high-carb meal, and then they tested the markers for inflammation. So at 1 hour, the inflammation, 3 hours, the inflammation, and at 5 hours, the inflammation. So the inflammation was going down significantly, whereas we know that just eating a meal like that normally makes the inflammation go higher. So this actually is a really good indication of how helpful those polyphenols are, how much they go to battle for you and protect your cells from the normal inflammation that comes from eating an unhealthy meal. And so there was a significant blunting of the inflammation. And that was just one use of Vivix. So if it helps cells from the inflammation that would come from that kind of a meal, just imagine if your body had that kind of assistance every day to deal with taking care of keeping the oxidative stress and inflammation low, because it deals with those free radicals. And then another study that was done that shows like the cumulative effect of taking that help, that support to your cells, to your body, with Shaklee and Vivix. So this study focused on a group of long-term Shaklee users that had been taking Shaklee and Vivix, and compared it to those that had been taking no supplements or 2 or fewer non-Shaklee supplements over a period of time. And the Vivix was one of the supplements that was included in the Shaklee supplements that were being taken. And this is how the biomarkers looked for the Shaklee users that were taking the Vivix. They had a 36% lower C-reactive protein level, so that's a key marker of biological stress. So their bodies were not becoming as stressed. The 83% lower medication usage. So usually, and this is people over 60, so usually over 60, the medications that people end up needing to take, it starts to go up because of this accumulation of cells struggling to keep up with all the attacks. And so 83% lower usage of medication is huge, 32% lower triglyceride levels, and that's a type of fat lipid found in your blood, 31% higher HDL levels, and these are the good, this is the good cholesterol, the high density lipoproteins. So they actually had 31% more. And then this one, the 57% 57% slower rate of telomere shortening. So let me explain that one, because that one is really important. Telomeres are the protective caps at the end of your chromosomes. And they found that when we're born, our telomeres have long protective caps. It protects the chromosomes from damage. As we age, those little caps or tips, kind of like, think about like a shoelace with a little plastic tip on it. That little tip protects the shoelace from getting all frayed, right? And so these little caps on the ends of our telomeres, they help protect the DNA inside of our chromosomes. And there was a 57% slower rate of those telomeres shortening. So they shorten over time, but it was a 57% slower rate when they were taking the Shaklee and the specifically adding in the Vivix. And that is really important, because the shorter your telomeres get, the more risk for bad health outcomes has been shown. So the reason for all of this, and because of all of this, Vivix is the world's most potent source of polyphenols. So it is not just one thing, it is a blend. Okay, so but the muscadine grape is a big part of that blend. And this blend helps even more than one thing would on its own. It was actually the blend, the Vivix, is 13 times more powerful than resveratrol alone. So Vivix contains resveratrol, but Vivix is 13 times more powerful than resveratrol alone. So it's a complex natural blend of polyphenols, and synergistically, they work together to do better. So they do better together than any one of those polyphenols would do on its own. And the multiple sources of those polyphenols include the muscadine grape, so that's right here, and then the resveratrol right here, and then another group or combination of polyphenols, including red wine extract, purple carrot extract, black currant extract, pomegranate extract, and chebulic myrobalan. And so just how potent is the polyphenol blend in Vivix? Well, this slide, unfortunately, is a little tricky to see. You're going to have to look at your screen really close. I will try to help you. So they compared, this is comparing all these different polyphenols to the polyphenol blend in Vivix. So coffee, you can see, I think it looks like to about right here. Red wine looks like it maxes out about right there. The black tea is right down here. Green tea, blueberry, raspberry looks like a little more. The almonds, about right here, so even more. And then the walnuts are right here. I was actually really excited to see this because just last week I got some organic walnuts. I hadn't bought walnuts for years, and I heard someone talking about them. Like, I should get some. And then I saw that they are actually a pretty good polyphenol. But even that, in comparison to the Vivix is the most potent. And the muscadine grape is the main ingredient that is attributed by the scientists for this unique polyphenol profile. It contains, the muscadine grape contains an extra pair of chromosomes. So the scientists believe that this extra genetic information is what accounts for the grape's powerful survival mechanisms. It's more robust and can survive things that a regular grape can't. And you can see just here like how thick the skin of the muscadine grape is compared to the thickness of a regular grape. Just the pulp, look at the pulp, is much larger than a regular grape. And then the seeds too are much larger, and they have a very robust polyphenol profile. So the skin, the seeds, the pulp of the muscadine grape are extremely rich in the potent mix of polyphenols, natural antioxidants. Antioxidants are the things that help with those free radicals, keeping things in balance, and so that it doesn't end up putting damage or inflammation on our cells. And so neutralizing those harmful free radical molecules that damage our cells and contribute to cellular aging is what muscadine grape has to help you with. And the muscadine grape is only grown on one multi-generational farm in southern Georgia. And at first, the grapes were just grown for the juice and the wine. And when scientists discovered that the leftover pomace is rich in antioxidants, Shackley partnered with the farm to utilize everything this rare and potent fruit has to offer. And the grapes are harvested, processed to make the juice and the wine. And then the leftover muscadine pomace seeds, skin, and pulp is sent to our lab. And then we extract the purest form of the grapes complex polyphenols. And then that distilled extract is what powers Vivix to help you live younger, longer. And Shackley will never put artificial preservatives, artificial flavors, or artificial colorants in its products. So you aren't getting any of those things with it either. So you can support your cells starting right now, no matter what age you are. Every minute of every day, your cells are under attack. And so you can do a lot to help avoid that buildup of damage that happens over time the younger you start benefiting from Vivix. So if you can start in your early 20s, you are going to be ahead of me, because I originally thought, when I heard about Vivix, I was like, well, I'm not 50 yet. I don't need to use Vivix. And my husband, he was, about the time that they came out with liquid gels, he was right around that 50 mark. And so he started using Vivix. And so I thought, oh, I don't need to use it yet. But knowing this science, I realized that was 10 years that I could have been helping my cells not be aging as much for those 10 years. So it wouldn't have been accumulating as much. And so it wasn't such a great choice maybe, but I've learned from it. And so you want to start as young as you can and as much as you can to give your body the benefits of Vivix. So even if you can't afford to do it all the time, every day, a full serving, Vivix does help your cells. So as much as you're able to do, I mean, the full serving is what, the studies are based on and everything, but it's the polyphenols in the Vivix that are really doing the benefit. And so even though you may not see it or feel it at age 20, and it may not accumulate as much until you are much older, although people seem to be aging much younger than they used to. And I think that's probably a lot of the toxins that we're exposed to. And then even in our food, sometimes our air, our water. So we get a lot of attacks today that didn't used to be as prevalent, but there are other products that Shaklee has that can help with anti-aging from the inside out. Collagen is one of the great ones that they have to use for inside your body, the building blocks. So it's collagen 9 because it has all 9 essential amino acids, whereas collagen itself only has 8 of the 9 essential amino acids. So Shaklee uses pea protein to give the 9th amino acid that collagen does not have on its own. And so that's a wonderful thing, to allow your cells build the building blocks that it needs to make cells and renew them. And then the anti-aging youth products are great. The ingredients in them are wonderful. You can really, basically the studies on that. So it helped people look like their skin look 10 years younger. But also not just the ingredients that go into the youth are remarkable, but the things that Shaklee won't put into their products is also what sets youth apart. So there's, I think, like 2,500 ingredients that Shaklee will not put into youth. And it's things, when you're exposing yourself to more potentially problematic chemicals and things that would actually harm your cells or be more of those 500 trillion attacks. Anything that you can do in your life to reduce that is going to help you maintain and build better health and allow your cells not to age as quickly. And I'd like to go back to this slide that shows how the normal inflammation response from an unhealthy meal looks. Because if you just take only one thing away from this talk to see what a high fat, high carb meal, the inflammation response that your body goes through from having eaten that meal, and it has to work, like the more antioxidants that you can feed your body can help with that to deal with it. And obviously the Vivix is a powerhouse at that. But just think about how those choices, like if you just were not making those poor choices as much, like even if you still have a junk meal sometimes, you're not doing it every day of every week or 3 times a week, or I don't know what other people's lifestyles are like. You just need to look at yourself and see where you are and what you can do to try to help reduce some of these things. Pesticides, buying organic as much as you can for like the fruits and vegetables, so you're not exposing yourself to the pesticides. The Get Clean, Shaklee's cleaning products are phenomenal. They work really well. And that's where I started my journey with Shaklee, because I just didn't want to have toxins in my house. I thought, that my house should be my sanctuary. I may still get exposed to it when I go out into the public, But honestly, like when I am so glad when I can just pass the cleaner aisle at the grocery store, because I never like going in there anyway, because I just I sensed, I guess, I felt like I needed to hold my breath. I did not want, there's definitely things that you're breathing when you go down that aisle. And I did not want to be putting that into my lungs. And so now that I don't have to go down that aisle, because I just have the Get Clean delivered to my house. So, and it is very cost effective. So, if just taking toxic cleaners out of your home and trying to eat better food, and is all you can do, it is going to help in the long run. And the more that you can feed your body with good things and the Vivix, it is an awesome thing. And if you can start when you're young, you will, I mean, in your old age, if you can do things in your life that allow you to really uh, still enjoy those later years of your life, um, and be there to see your grandchildren, and it's really something special. So with that, I just wanted to finish. There is a bundle that you can get right now. It ends August 31st. You get 2 jars. So they have the jars. They're going to be refillable, and so you keep the jars, and then they'll be selling at basically a reduced price the pouches to refill the jars. So you get 1 jar, up to 2 with your first order if you don't go with the bundle. So if it's after August 31st, you can still get a break on the jars your first time. But then after that, the jars are going to cost more. So anyway, that is one benefit from the bundle, as well as it's being offered at a reduced introductory price. So anyway, I just encourage you to get some of those gummies. And I mean, even if 2 months of your life you are able to, or you spread it out over several months, or whatever you can, um, you know, can do to help nourish your life. So we want to live nourished lives. And so that's what I am hoping for you. And I really appreciate your taking time out of your busy day just to listen to the things that I had to share today with you. Thank you, and God bless you.